will be better next time I try. And even if I still can't do it, yeah, you know that I'm gonna stick to it. Yes, it's all about going through it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Whoopsie, whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see, I'm better at this today. Woo! Whoopsies, whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsies.
I'm a little embarrassed when I look at my drawing compared to this. I'm just not getting anywhere with this. It makes me wanna hide. Aw, don't be embarrassed. Don't hide.
You should have seen mine the first time I tried. It took a lot of whoopsies to look this way.
No one's perfect on their first day. Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay.
It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsie, 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 whoopsie.
Well, what about this? I want to jump rope, but nope, I just can't do it.
Well, not yet. Come on and practice with me. You'll see there's nothing to it.
Whoa! Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see, I'm better at this today. Woo!
It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. I know it's hard, but for long, before it's too late. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me. It's hard. Wake up. It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. But I know it's hard, before long, before it's too dark. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me.
Are you guys ready to do some singing today? Because I know I am. I hope you guys are. Today we're gonna be singing. It's some choir practice out here. Where is it? On this side? Let me fix this real quick. Get over here. There we go. I hope y'all are excited for today, alright? I know some of you guys need a little practice with your singing here. Don't worry, because I am a professional singer on top of being a professional dev, alright? Don't worry, I got you. I'm going to show you how to get pitch perfect today, alright? Pitch perfect utilizing programming, alright? Utilizing programming. But first, before we get into that, let's talk about us for a little bit, alright? So if you didn't know, one second here. If you didn't know, we are a Rootkit nonprofit here in the US of A. Can you please load? There we go. Nonprofit in the US of A. All donations to us are 100% tax deductible. Before we get into that rabbit hole a little bit more, we like doing free stuff, like this class we're doing. Go to college, you can get the same education that we're doing right now, except for $100,000. Look, you want to pay $100,000 away, you can pay it to us. We'll take your $100,000. Better yet, if you go to a coding boot camp, they'll charge upwards of $20,000 for you to attend that for a couple week long class. You're not going to learn very much. No one does from the coding class or from the coding boot camps. They are total scams. So just come to us, right? We're teaching you right now. Unless you want to give us a couple, $10,000, $20,000, we'll take that, all right? We usually charge about $20,000 for this class. But we're doing it for free right here. And on top of doing that for free, we're giving away some free sweaters, all right? Go fill this out now so you can go and enter and get a free sweater, all right? Go get your free sweater. Now, if you like what we're doing and you feel bad for us because we're not charging for it or anything right now, it's all right. You can donate. And better yet, when you donate, tax deductions, baby, all right? Tax haven, all right? You need a tax haven. I've seen your income. It's too much, all right? Too much. You need to get rid of some of that, all right? You need to also get the grubby little hands of the government off of those precious dollar bills you're making. So go ahead and donate now so you can save on your taxes. Additionally, depending on how much you donate, you can get some rewards here, like our stickers, this epic t-shirt I got on right here, and the sweater. All right, the epic sweater. If you haven't seen it already, man, you are missing out. Also, we have a bunch of pillars here, like streaming for 24 hours straight, shaving my head here live on stream, and shaving my... We don't need to do that one, of course, as always. And all donations are matched 1 for 1, all right? 1 for 1, all donations are matched by a generous donor of ours up to 10,000, all right? Up to 10,000, and... yeah, we don't need to get to shave my beard, all right? Too much dandruff. You guys don't want to see that, all right? All right, let's see here. Yeah, make sure you donate. Avoid taxes. I know. All right, I work for the U.S. government. I know what they do with your tax money. They don't use it well. I'll tell you that. They don't use it well at all. All right, not one bit. It is a crime. It really is a crime. All right, let's see here. Is there anything I can't do? No, I can do everything. All right, I can do anything. You list it, plumber. All right, I got you. I'm a plumber now. All right, certified everything. You just let me know what you need fixed. Roofing? Yeah, I'll do that. Sure. No, I'm just kidding. That's too much work, man. I'm a programmer. I'm lazy. It doesn't have a chair and a computer in front of it. It's too much, all right, too much, especially the sunlight. Oh, don't get me started on that. All right, let me see here, just checking to see if any questions, comments, concerns from yesterday. A lot of you guys posted some awesome stuff you're doing with the assignments in the 100 Days of Rootkit. Oh, also, before we move forward, if you're a Patreon or Discord Premium member, I'm in the events chat. You can go join me in there and chat away instead of having to type. Because typing is difficult sometimes, all right? But you guys did some epic things. A lot of you guys completed it to perfection. Very, 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 very proud. So before moving forward, let's go ahead and go over, where is it? Let's go over this and show what we would do here on how to make it better and utilize the format strings. So first off, we have our lowest and highest number here. All right, and we're generating a random number. This is our low number and this is our high number. So we should definitely replace these first. All right, it's best when you're going through your code, you know, just like reading a book, start from top to bottom, read from left to right. So we're gonna go to this line right here. We're gonna replace this lowest number with this lowest number, this highest number with this highest number. So that way we are covering our random number generation now. Awesome. Next, we got some text here. We got two little pieces of text we need to clean up here. We need to fix. So let's go ahead and do that. So with format, we can replace, you can do format several different ways, but we're going to do it this way because it's more verbose. All right. So you can replace everything with curly braces that you want to use variables instead. So let's replace that with a curly brace and this with a curly brace. All right. That's step one. Then step two is at the very end of the string, aka right at the double quote, we're going to do a dot and then we're going to say format. All right. Another action or function we can take. All right. Now, the order in which these curly braces are here are the order in which you need to fill out your variables here. So if you want this thing to be filled in with something specific, you need that, since that's the first curly brace in this string, the first thing you put in format here needs to be that item. So we want lowest number to print out first. So we'll put lowest number in there first. If we have more than one item, then we just need to put commas between everything. So we'll go ahead and put a comma right here. I like putting a space right after, and you should be putting a space after also, not because it's required, but because it looks better. All right. There we go. And then we put our next item that we want. We want that next item here to be the highest number. So we're going to do a comma and then highest number. And since we're programmers and we're lazy, all right, we're just going to steal our own code. All right, we're going to highlight all of this. We're going to copy it. And then we're going to paste it right here at the end of this string. All right, so now they both have format at the end. All right, and now our code is fully dynamic. So if I change this to 100 and this to 10 and we run this, we'll see 10 to 100 prints out here. If I do something like 5, it will tell me I'm wrong and I need to do something between 1 and 100. If I do something like 50, it will then tell me, you know, whether I'm good or not, or low or high. And then if I do over the amount, so 101, it will tell me I'm wrong. So it's dynamically adjusted. All right, dynamically adjusted. Super, super epic. Additionally, we're going to introduce a new term to you guys that you've heard many, many times before. The term algorithm. Woo! Sounds mathy. Sounds difficult. Definitely heard that in the media, been used before, how they're evil or how they're amazing. Guess what? You've just created an algorithm. Your algorithm is playing this game. All right, algorithms are just steps you can take to do something, to take some type of action. You guys have now made your own algorithm. Algorithm is a very generic and open term which can incorporate literally just about anything you do in programming. So pretty much everything you do in programming is considered an algorithm. So congratulations, you guys have made not just your first game, your first Python program. Not only are you now a software developer, because have you developed software? Yes, you have. You are a software developer now. You are now an algorithm developer. You make algorithms, all right? Put that on your resume, all right? Makes you sound super cool. Alrighty, any questions with this? Any questions with the formatting at all? Before we move on to our singing classes here, I'm just feeling dumb. I was so close. Yeah, that's alright. It happens a lot where we get so close, but yet so far away. Those dot things are going to make more sense here in a second. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Maybe towards the end of today's lesson. Kind of introing what we're going to talk about maybe tomorrow. So that is our full completed game to a pretty optimized state. There's not much more you can do to this to make it more like quote unquote correct or efficient. All right, someone in the Twitch chat the other day pointed out what you could do on line 16 to make it a little more Pythonic, which was definitely a correct way. But we won't really worry about that too much right now. We'll get into more of that advanced Pythonic stuff in some later episodes. So let us move forward. It was the spaces and parentheses that got me. Yeah, so the spaces here do not matter. Definitely the parentheses definitely these parentheses definitely do matter, because remember, anytime you want to activate a function, all right, take an action, like actually execute on, because you can talk about an action, but to actually execute, you know, I can talk about kicking, but to actually kick kick, all right, you have to add the parentheses, all right, and then inside of the parentheses, these are what you call the arguments, all right. These are basically, for example, if I wanted to kick, that would be me thinking internally like, okay, I'm kicking, but like, how fast am I kicking? What angle am I kicking at? How long am I going to kick for? That's what you would be putting in the parentheses. So this is just like any other action, except remember, we're in a programming world, so we're going to call them functions. And inside these functions, we're going to put our parameters in there, all right? Our arguments. We're going to tell it what we want to do and how we want to do it. All right, let's move over to, I was adding spaces between, yeah, don't add spaces between these. Let's move over to our singing classes today. Singing class, all right? How many of you guys here are familiar with a grand old tune called Old MacDonald? It's a historical tune passed down generation to generation. It's an absolutely epic tale about a farmer and all of the animals he owns, all right? It's so epic indeed, and the lore is so intense and deep. It's told usually to kids here in America at a very, very young age. If you're not familiar with the epic tale of Old MacDonald, don't worry. You're going to become very, very familiar with them here soon. All right? Alrighty. He's my best friend. I like that. So, let's take a seat back here for a second. You are a pro dev. You're running your company, or you're part of a company. That's cool. You don't really have much work right now, and all of a sudden, slide over some work to you. All right, a customer has ordered you to make some software. All right, a customer has ordered you to make some software. They're going to pay you 100,000 V-Bucks. All right, the 100,000 V-Bucks to make the software, so you can feed your, that's Fortnite, right? That's Fortnite dollars. So you can feed your little gaming addiction. All right. So you definitely want to get on this, all right? There's skins to be collecting. They're called V-Bucks, right? I hope they are. I'm gonna look like a fool. The customer has requested that you make a program that will sing the song Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Cool. What's the first step you do? What is the first step you do? It's not a trick question. If you were given any project, there's always a step number one you should always do, all right? Step number one would be research, all right? Research. Maybe you know the song, maybe you don't know the song, but if a customer has ordered something, first research it, review it, figure out what exactly they're wanting, and then follow up with questions, if there are any questions, for further clarification before you write any code, all right? So let's do some research here, and let's go check out the song Old MacDonald, shall we? So we go over to Google, and we say Old MacDonald Had a Farm song. And hopefully we don't get just obliterated by YouTube and Twitch here, but let's go and play this a little bit. Oh, good old ad. We do not endorse Adobe. They can go screw themselves. Oh, how delightful.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. With an oink oink here and an oink oink there. Here an oink, there an oink, everywhere an oink oink. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Oh, I think I just messed up my mic. Hold on. Oh, okay, I think I'm good. So that's the song, except it repeats that over and over again with different animals. All right, very, very simple song. If you weren't familiar with Old MacDonald, you now are familiar. So to get even more familiar with it, why don't we just look up the lyrics? All right, let's look up the lyrics here. So if we look at the lyrics, and let's go ahead and just pull this into our code, so we don't have to look all this stuff anymore. Oh, baby. Now that's what I want to see when I paste something. That doesn't irritate me at all. Let's go ahead and comment this so we don't get those squiggly lines anymore. You'll see there's a reoccurring thing here in Old MacDonald. There are blocks. So here's a block before it repeats. All right, and it will repeat in these little blocks with new animals each time. So you'll see that it will go Old MacDonald at a farm, and then sing, and then it will introduce an animal. Then it will do the animal's noises. All right, and then we'll finish with Old MacDonald had a farm. So here's the entire block, and it will repeat that for various different animals. So, and you know, the customer is going to give you what animals they want you to sing about, all right, in the song. So you already know how many animals you're going to have. You know how long potentially the song is going to be. So we can go from there and start making a program. All right. Any guesses on how we should go about now making this program? There's some hints right here. The hints are, here's the animals they want you to use in the song, and here are the noises they want you to use in the song for those animals. All right, any guesses on how we should proceed right now? You don't have to go step by step if you want, but like a big generalization works too. Don't be shy. It's okay. Again, we're all about oopsies here. You can be wrong. So, what did we learn about yesterday? Specifically about loops. Let's go from there. What type of loop do you think would be best suited for what we're trying to do here? There's only two options. All right, really narrowing it down for you guys. Man, really? God. I said, what type of loop should we be using? What type of loop should we be using? We learned about them yesterday. A while loop. Decision says a while loop. Does everyone else agree? Because the animals seem endless. I like that. Does anyone else agree, disagree, and why? I see we got some agreements. All right, let's talk about it. let's talk about it. Even though the song seems endless, so Kamal says for loop. So even though the song seems endless, we know for a fact the length of the song. We know for a fact that the song will repeat for only how many animals we have. All right, for only how many animals the customer has given us and told us they want the song to be sung for. That is a defined length. That is not infinite or potentially infinite. That is very defined. We know exactly how long everything is going to be. When we know how long things are going to be, that's when we want to use a for loop. All right, for loops are the answer for this. For loops are going to solve our problem we have at hand. So great guesses all around. The other answer is yes. Yes, you can do it a while loop. You 100% can do it with a while loop, and it wouldn't be wrong, and it would work just fine. But using a for loop would be the more correct way. Like I said, in programming, there are 1,000 different ways to do something. Nothing is the right way. There are just more correct ways or better ways, but it doesn't mean it's not going to run. The other thing here is, as we move forward, don't get hung up on whether you're doing it the most correct way. Learn from what you did and learn how you can do it better, but at least you did something. That's the most important thing, because guess what? At the end of the day, you guys have used Google right before. You guys are using YouTube, right? Some of you guys are using YouTube. Some of you guys are using Twitch right now and so forth. So these are services you use, right? Programs that people have built, applications people have made. Do you know whether they wrote the code more correct or not on the back end or on the website? No, you have no clue. And that's the thing, is consumers don't know, and they do not care. They literally could not care less about how well you optimized and made your code. As long as it works and the consumer can use it, they're happy at the end of the day. So if you used a while loop, you're less correct, but it doesn't matter because you got your paycheck and it works just fine. And guess what? The consumer is happy. That's all that matters. All right. You want to always be in a more correct, you always want to make your code more correct. All right. That is the ideal being, but that's not how things work out in reality. And it's okay. As long as things work and function, you can turn in things to the consumer and collect that paycheck. All right. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. Correct is correct. Exactly. If it works, the thing is, if it works, it works. All right. Now, the only caveat to that is if you have a website or a service and you really did it bad and it takes 20 seconds for something to happen when it should really only take like a millisecond, then like, even though it works, you may want to spend some time fixing things so it actually works at a decent time, because sometimes time is important. Time is something that you need to keep at a minimum, not for all jobs. And of course this always depends. But most jobs, you really got to mess something up bad if it's taken like 20 times longer than it should be. But that's a key piece of information as we move forward. All right. So let's make this song, shall we? So we know for a fact this line is the same. And if we highlight it, you can see where it prints everywhere else. This line is not going to change. This line is not going to change. This line is going to change only right here. So this line isn't going to change. We can make it more simplistic and not print the, or have it so each one has the OH. I don't know why, or maybe none of them have the OH. I don't know why that first one had the OH. So we'll just remove that little typo, I guess they had on the lyrics there. And we know we need to put some stuff into this. So how are we going to go about this? Well, we know we need to loop for the amount of animals that the song needs to sing about. All right, and we know each animal is going to make some noises. So let's at least start there. Let's just move forward with the animals at least. We'll figure out the noises here in a second. So what we can do is, we know we need to do a for loop. So let's say for, and remember, for will have a variable that is going to be created. So you got to make a new variable here. We're going to call it animal. You can call this anything you want because this is a new variable. Animal in animals. All right, and we got to add a but at the end. Again, what is happening here? What is going on? Chaos. That's the answer. No, not chaos. You know, let's let the programming speak for itself. Let's just throw a print in here and print animals. All right, and also after that, let's go ahead and print animal. Right, we're gonna print animals and animal. All right, both of them at the same time. So let's go and run this and take it one step at a time. Why are you gonna yell at me? Run this thing. There we go. So what is going on here? What chaos have we just erupted? Let's see. The first line here is going to print the entire list of animals. So if we look here, we're going to see the entire list of animals are going to be printed out. Again, this is a loop. So every single time it loops, it's going to print. And how many times is it going to loop? 3, because we have 3 items in our array. We have cows, pigs, and chickens. Additionally, animal is a brand new variable we are creating. It will temporarily hold one value in the array at a time, incrementing down the array or the list. All right, so that's why we got cows that printed first, pigs that printed second, and chickens that printed last, because the first rotation through it had cows, then it moves on to the next item in the list and it picks up pigs, and then it moves to the next item in the list and it picks up chickens. All right, any questions on that? Again, this first one we called animal. We did it because it makes sense. You can name this whatever you want, like this, and then rerun it and it will work just fine. All right, works just fine, because this is, again, a brand new variable we are making right here on line 4, right here, and it's going to temporarily hold one item at a time in the list. Animal makes the most sense because it's going to hold one animal at a time from the animals list, aka plural because this is a list, singular because it's just one animal. So it makes sense. Go and ask your question. Are you going to say something also, Kwai? You guys don't have to preface that you're going to say something. You can just say it. What does invalid literal for int mean? I got that error code. The error code I got with base 10. It means that you need to cast. Most likely, you need to cast your whatever variable you're trying to do. So I don't know what code that's exactly for, because the code that you sent me earlier is casting correctly. But usually it's in regards to that. No, I can Google it. I'm sorry. Okay, that works. Yep, cast. So like what you did on line 8, 16, and 19, where you put string, the string function around things, that's called casting. If you're getting an error with this code, you're probably missing something, like the double quotes or the commas, etc., etc. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. So we can remove this first one because that's just printing the array over and over again. And if we rerun this, we can now see we're getting cows, pigs, and chickens. And we're printing. What do we need to do? We need to make the lyrics print out. We know how to print things out on the command line, right? You're right, we do know how to do that. So let's do that. We're gonna introduce something new, something fancy, something cool, all right? We know if we want a string, we can do double quotes, but we can go even crazier than that. We can do triple quotes and now have a string that can go across several different lines. I know, it's pretty epic, all right? If you want a normal string, you know, just single one quotes, all right? But if you want a big boy string, all right, we're gonna do a lot of quotes. 3 to be exact, all right? 3 to be exact. Perfect, perfect. All right, so in here, we can now start putting some of our lyrics. So let's not do any special formatting or anything like that. Let's just go ahead and just print and then do a print and then have our crazy triple quotes here. And let's go and just copy our lyrics over and paste them. All right, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. I see that there's an animal in there. Don't worry, we're taking it one step at a time, all right? One bit at a time. Rootkit's slogan is one bit at a time for a reason. So we're just going to copy and paste. What else am I stealing here? Copy and paste. Copy and paste. This is a really slow way. I should have just uncommented, but we're already too deep. I can't stop now. I've committed already. All right. We know it's going to, it needs to end on an E-I-E-I-O. So let's go and paste that in here. All right. And if we highlight and then press tab, that's how we can tab a whole block up. I'm going to tab all of this up one more time so it's nicely indented like that. Not required, but it looks a little nicer. So let's see what happens when we run this. Ooh-wee. Look at that. We're getting that whole block of text printed out here. That is pretty neat. That is pretty cool, if I have to say so myself. All right, that's pretty much 99% of the work we gotta do here. 99% of the work we gotta do. For words in text equals your text print text. Oh, that's what you did, lol. Yes. Yep, you are definitely on the right path there. I agree. So we've pretty much done like 99% of the work. You'll see there's some weird behavior when you use the triple quotes though. Triple quotes, you shouldn't really use that often, if at all. We're introducing it right now so you can see the concept, and that it exists, and we'll show you where it's usually most commonly found later on in this course. But as you can see, there's some weird behavior. What's that weird behavior? We got a lot of spaces here, a lot of spaces at the front. So the customer may not want that, but for right now, we're going to imagine the customer is okay with it, and we're going to move forward with it. All right. I feel it. I hope to, you can join our Discord. The description is, the link to it is in the description of the video, and in there you can go ahead and chat with us. If it's for business deals, we can open up a ticket and chat with you in private. All right, so let us move forward here. Next step, we completed step 1. All right, remember, we do things one bit at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Some tasks that you get in life in general, but also in programming, they're gonna feel very overwhelming. All right, they're gonna feel very large. Don't focus on how large they are. Just focus on the first little baby step you gotta take and complete it just one bit at a time. Just like our slogan says here at Rootkit, just one bit at a time. Where's our little picture at? Picture, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Where is it? Rootkit 1 bit at a time. All right. We sell these pins. Do I have one here? We've given a couple of them out to people who have one. Oh, here they are. There we go. We sell these on the store. All right. They're not in stickers. They're in little pins. They have a little piece of metal that you can use. 1 bit at a time. Remember, that's the most important thing. Don't get overwhelmed. Just 1 bit at a time. So we did our 1 bit here. The next bit we got to do is we already know we got control of the animals here. All right. We're already getting 1 animal at a time, which means we can change this cow right here to the animal it should be. All right. So first, let's go ahead and remove this print because we don't need it anymore. We know that this is going to be each unique animal. And let's go ahead and replace this with our curly braces, because we know when we use format, we can use this, and that will be, when we use format, it will replace it with the animal we want. And right here, we can do a dot format, and we can say animal. All right, just like before. Something else I should mention in regards to using format compared to the pluses work just fine. Format works just fine. The pluses technically are less efficient. So in the underlying code, how everything works, the pluses will cause your program to be slower than if you used format. All right. This will not affect most programs that use it, but if you are processing a lot of data, what I mean by a lot of data, I mean gigs to terabytes of data, all right? Not like a couple files here and there. You may see a performance difference between dot format and using pluses. So you should just probably use dot format at all times. So if we rerun this now, you'll see that now we get the appropriate animal getting printed in our lyrics, which is super, super awesome. Let me go and check the chat here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Append. What's this? I have quotes after the animal. Why is that? Never mind. All right. Append. Question mark? Wait, I'm confused. All right. So, if there are no questions, remember you guys can ask questions at any time. It's a cool feature I didn't know about. What else in format to be used for? Yeah, format is extremely, extremely useful. This is one of 2 ways you can use format. We'll go over later another way you can use format, which is a little bit more condensed. So a lot of things we've learned so far, there's actually a shorthand version of doing things. We're not going to do shorthand yet because it's better to see the full version and get comfortable with that before we start confusing people with shorthand stuff. So we've gone pretty far, guys. We're almost there. You know, at first when I got this from the client, I thought it was going to take like months, but instead now I'm feeling like it's going to take an hour, all right, to finish up this program, turn it in, and for us to get our monies. The only thing we have here that's an issue is we're getting each individual animal, but how are we supposed to link up the noises? It's kind of a little bit of dilemma we got here. There are several ways to resolve this issue. So one would be combining both of these arrays together. All right. Another one would be using index. So let's learn a new function so we can get the index of things. What is index? Index is the order, the number of order of where everything is. So this would have an index. Since computers start counting at 0, this would have an index of 0. This one would have an index of 1, and this one would have an index of 2. Yeah, 2. 0, 1, and 2. So how can we get that index? How do we do that? There is a special function we can utilize. At the very beginning of animals here in the for loop, we can put a new function called enumerate. All right, enumerate. Enumerate will now give us the animals, but it will, one at a time, but it will also now give us the index. All right, so how do we get the index out of it? Great question. Let me look at the docs here real quick so I can remember what order it is. I'm pretty sure it's the second one. So we'll go ahead and type out index completely. All right, so you can actually have multiple variables get created here at the same time. How do you do that? You put a comma. All right, this only works in certain circumstances. All right, enumerate would be one of them. So if we look here, let's see what's even going on with this index thing, just in case you're a little confused on what the heck is going on. Let's go ahead and print index and let's just view it. You know, it's kind of hard to view it right now. There's a lot of stuff being printed out. I'm kind of confused. So let's go ahead and just comment out this print so we don't have to get confused and search around for things. If we rerun it, all right, looks like I made an oopsie. That's okay, we're in programming. It takes 2 seconds to fix an oopsie. All right, I got the order wrong, so index is supposed to be first and then animal is second. All right, because we were getting our animals printed out for index, which is wrong. So let's rerun this. Ooh, we got 0, 1, and 2 getting printed out. These are going to be the indexes, the number associated with the item in the list. Or you can also think about it as how many times we've looped. Is it the first time we've looped? If it's the first time we've looped, it's the 0th time, all right? Because computers always start counting at 0. Why? Come on, don't disappoint me, all right? Don't disappoint me. Because binary data always starts at 0. And to get the maximum amount of value out of everything, we always start counting at 0. We include that in our number pool, all right? That's why, like, what do you call it? A nibble, right? A nibble of information is 0 through 127. A maximum of 128 numbers. Even though the max number is 127, 0 is counted as a number. So you get 128. You squeeze that much more out of all the memory that you have. So that's why everything starts at 0. All right. So why is this even useful? We'll see here in a second. Let me check the chat and make sure everything is not in chaos. Let's see here. All cool feature. Your lists are unused. Yep. Format string, a function. That's so useful. Can you go more in depth in the uses of that? Oh wow, enumerate. There's a key bind to multiple. Yep. Yep. There are key bindings and other shortcuts in VS Code for you to edit and manipulate multiple lines at a time. I'll just preview that. We're not going to get into it right now, but if you click on something like farm right here, and I, gosh, what is it? Is it Alt? There we go. If you hold down the Alt key, you can click in multiple places. So I can click on all of these, and then I can highlight all of them at the same time, or I can edit all of these lines at the same time. So there's a bunch of shortcuts in VS Code. There's lots of great videos online that I recommend you guys checking out so you can see all the cool tools that are available. Alrighty, let's see here. Yes sir. So index and enumerate will work only for things that already have a list. Yes. So enumerate, I'm gonna be honest, the only times I've ever really used enumerate was inside of a for loop, but basically we can run it by itself and see what gets outputted. I have a guess on what will be outputted, but let's go ahead and run and see for a fact what's going to happen. So let's comment out our whole entire for loop so everything's commented out. The only thing we'll see printed is this enumerate. Let's go and run that by itself. So it's going to say it's a special little object and it's not going to play nice with us. If we put a list, if we try to cast it as a list, I think that will force it to play nice with us. So let's cast it as a list. And there we go. We can see what enumerate is doing. Enumerate is basically it's modifying our list with a brand new list. It's making our one big list into 3 smaller lists. Inside of those smaller lists, it's putting a 0, a 1, and a 2 by every single item. So that's why your for loop here, this is called unpacking. We're unpacking 2 values at a time because there's 2 values in each one of these subarrays that we're getting at the exact same time. You could just do 1 variable here, and this 1 variable would be this is technically a tuple, but remember, tuples are just like lists. All right, so you would get that at the exact same time. They would both be in here, but we're using 2 to unpack them, which means that the first one will go into the first variable. I guess I should do it this way in the camera. The first one will go in the first variable, and the second one will go in the second variable. So let's go ahead and go back. So with this information, we can now exploit another functionality of lists. What is that? You can, let's go ahead and print, and let's refresh you guys a little bit. I can't remember exactly if we went over this. Let's grab noises. So when we do print noises like this, let me go ahead and clear the terminal. You're gonna see we're just gonna get a list, all right? A list of the noises getting printed out. But what if I only want the second one or the third one here? How do we just get one of them? You can ask for just one single item. How do you do that? If you put 2 brackets at the end, you can put which item you want. Remember, it starts counting at 0. So if I put a 0 in here, this is us saying, hey, I want the first item in the list. So if we run this, you'll see we'll get moo printed out. And let me go ahead and clear this and print it again so it's more clear. You'll see moo is going to be printed out. And if we do a 1, we'll get oink printed out, which is, remember, we start counting at 0, so moo is this one, oink is going to be 1, and clock is going to be 2. So if we do 2, we're going to get the third item printed out. This is very useful, especially now that we have indexes. So if we now combine this information, we can finish this program. Let me see if there's any questions. Can you do that on Mac too? Yes, you can do it on a Mac. Is there no? Where's my Mac? Ow, my hand. Let me see here. I mess around with the keys. I think it's going to be the options key for you. How you do undo on a Mac, you're going to do so everywhere else it's going to be Control Z, but on a Mac you're going to hold the command key. The command key and then Z. So anytime I say Control for everyone else, for Windows or for Mac, it's going to be Command. Alrighty, let's see, any other questions? All right, let's chug along here with our beautiful singing lesson. So let's go ahead and uncomment our code here so we can continue forward. So we know index is going to give us the number, which is great. And we know we need that number to extract which individual noise we want at any given time. So if we, before we move on, let's take our next baby step. We need to replace all of these moos. All of these moos. So let's go ahead and put little curly braces right here along each one of these moos because we need them to change with every single animal. Awesome. Now we can continue forward. But wait a second. This looks like a lot of work. Well, why is it a lot of work? Well, because you said earlier, for every single one of these curly braces, you have to do a comma and put a new variable. That is a lot of work because we're going to have to take noises and do comma, 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 comma. Holy crap, how many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, that's a lot. Hey, I'm all about programming, but it seems like a little too much work for me. I'm gonna be honest here. Don't worry, programmers are lazy. There's a way to save you from having to do copying and pasting that many times, because again, remember, we want our code to be as dry as possible, and if we have repeats like this, it may be a signal that it's not very dry and that we can make it more efficient. How can we make it more efficient? Well, this is where going exploring in the depths of the documentation is very beneficial for you. So let's go ahead and see if Format has any little extra features. Let's check out the docs for it and see if it has any little extra features that can save us from having to type so much. My fingers are gonna get sprained at this rate. All right, make sure there's no questions right now. All right, sweet. So let's pull up the browser here. And let's type in Python. And what are we doing in Python? We're using Format. So let's type in Format. And we got the W3 School link here up front. Now the W3 School link up front is useful, but does it reveal any, well, it looks like it does. Does it reveal any new information? If this doesn't reveal any new information for you, always default to the raw Python docs. This very next one right here. All right, and this will help you out even more. This is the shorthand version, which we'll go over a little bit later, so don't worry about it. And there's some cool things you can do with it, but we'll go over that a little bit later. So you can always look through here, and I highly recommend you do. So let's look at the W3 one first, though. So we already know how to do the dot format. All right. Don't know what's really going on here, so let's scroll down a little bit more. So dot format value 1, value 2, dot dot dot. So what does that mean? Required one or more values that should be formatted and inserted in the string. The values are either a list of values separated by commas, key equals value list, or a combination of both. Values can be any data type. All right, let's move down a little bit here. Placeholders, interesting. The placeholders can be identified using named indexes, price, or numbered indexes of 0, or an empty placeholder. Interesting. So what they're saying here is we can, inside of the curly braces, we can do them empty. And by doing them empty, it will count how many we have in total, and we need to match that here in Format. Or we can do numbered indexes. What does that mean? We talked about indexes before. If you have a list, the 0th item is the first item in a list, the 1th item is the second item in the list, and so on and so forth. So if this is a list, which it kind of is because there's an item, a comma, and then another item, then we could potentially say item number 0 we want to have here, and item number 1 we want to have right here. So remember, it starts counting at 0 and goes to 1, and we could actually repeat this in multiple places all over our string, so that way we only have 2 items here and it will be used in multiple places. Additionally, if you don't want to be stuck to the order of something, like for example, this will always have to be the 0th item, this will always have to be the first item in this list, you could use this, which is basically it's a variable inside of your string, which you assign, and you make that variable inside of this function here, inside of the format function. We'll not worry about this right now. We're just going to do it this method for right now, and maybe we'll start doing it in this method later on. So let's go ahead and do it with this one right here. So if we go back to our code here, we can say that this right here is supposed to be the animal, so that will be the 0th item, our animal. The next ones are going to be our noises. That's our second item in the list, and that's going to be the first index. So 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1. Awesome. Whew. I was saved myself a lot of trouble there. All right. It is important that you Google stuff. Even if you think you know how something works, it never hurts to look into it more, to find the docs for it, to read on it more, and maybe see if there's extra functionalities. There's extra buttons or switches attached that may give you a little bit of extra power, a little extra kick. So if we rerun this right now, you'll see that it is working. It is working. Not as we intended, but it is working. We have our animals in here, and next we have our noises getting put exactly where we need in multiple different places. We've successfully completed our next little bit of work. Are there any questions so far? Again, if you have any questions, you can go and ask them at any time. Also, I am in the Discord in the events chat, so if you are a Discord premium member or a what do you call it, or a Patreon member, you can just go ahead and jump there. Seems easy enough. Yep, exactly. So the last step we need to do is in here we need to get the correct noise for every single time. So we know if we want to get a single noise out of this list, we need to do the brackets. All right, and the problem is if we used a static number like this, it will work and we can rerun it and it will work, except now the chickens are mooing, which is not correct. The chickens don't moo, all right, the cows moo. So this is where that index becomes extremely useful. All right, the index becomes extremely useful here because it's tracking which item we are in the lists. Now, if we use that instead, now everything will be synced up. Now the key word there is synced up because it relies on this list and this list both being in the correct order. If these were not in the correct order, this would not work. This would not work correctly. All right. And I'll show you guys another way you can go about doing this after we run this. So let's go and run this. And now we have our perfect, beautiful Old MacDonald Had a Farm lyric generator program. All right. We are singing to our heart's content. We can go in here and we can easily add new animals now. All right. We're going to make a new animal called a U. All right, and we're gonna add a new noise called an ah. All right, and if we rerun our program here, you'll see that we just made the song even longer. It automatically generated new lyrics, and we have our new animal and our new noise in here. All right, which sounds more like screaming. All right, they're screaming, just noises, animals. All right, they're in pain. We need to save them. Too much work, never mind. So you'll always also notice some weird behavior. When we're using the triple lines, we got all that weird indenting that's going on, which is some weird behavior. But we also got some spaces here. Why are those spaces happening? Because we have right here, this is where the string starts and we've pressed enter. So that's why there's a space on top. And same thing with the bottom. We have the triple quotes here. So that's why there's an issue there. So if we get rid of the extra space here and put the triple quotes at the end, you'll see that things will start to look a little bit more coherent. Now there's only one space between everything. So we could get rid of this space right here, but you'll also notice there's now another issue. It's all together now, but the Old MacDonald's is on all the way at the beginning here. We can solve this one of two ways. One is doing a tab twice because we have two tabs right here, and now it will be all perfectly together. All right, looks like it's like a space off. All right, but the other solution is to use the special character \t. What does T do? Guess. All right, I want you guys to guess what T is going to do. And we get some of our functionality back. Looks like we just need maybe one. There we go. Everything is on a line now, on the correct line. All right, sweet. So this isn't the prettiest way to make your strings or print out all of this stuff. If you wanted to remove the spaces before everything, you could just remove these spaces right here. And again, this is going to take a little bit, so a quicker way we could do it would be doing something like holding down Alt, clicking on all these. Whoops, gosh darn it. Holding on Alt, clicking on all these. No, gosh darn it. What? Come on. Why is it not working? All right. Well, another way is you can do Control F. You can find it, open this up, replace with nothing, and full send. There we go. The second button here is replace everything. The first one is replace one thing at a time. Control F is to bring this up. By default, it will be searching. When you open this little arrow here, it's going to also have replace. So if we rerun it now like this, you'll see that it's all at the beginning. Any questions there? That's not out of the function block. We have no... Oh, so yes, technically it would be out of the function block, but triple quotes is a special little thing in Python where it basically means like a literal string. So basically how the string is laid out in code is exactly how it's going to show up when it gets printed. So this is technically breaking that rule, but it's an exception to the rule because it has some weird behavior. Now, I probably wouldn't do this if I had to make this myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on break, and I'm going to show you guys how I personally would go about programming this in a different way, which may be more correct, maybe not. It's totally up to the situation and who's making it and how they feel. All right. Any last minute questions? Is there a space in my oinks? It doesn't do that for any of the other animals. Is that a question? I'm gonna bring it back so it's all with the tabs, because I kind of like it with the tabs. There is a space in my oinks. So if there's a space in your oinks, check here and make sure you don't have a space here. And then check in your oink here and see if you added a space at the beginning. Because if there's a space here at the beginning of your oink, then it's going to have a space. All right, let's go on break for 3 to 5 minutes and reconvene. If you have any questions, drop them into the chat and I will answer them when we get back. All right, when we get back, we will go through them. All right, I'll see you guys in 3 to 5 minutes. Alrighty. We are back. Alrighty. Before we join back into the code though, let's first talk about ourselves a little bit, alright? We're Rootkit, a non-profit based here in the US of A. Non-profit, tax deductible, tax haven. Donate, save on your taxes, avoid those government fees, alright? Additionally, we do a lot of things for free, like this class. Usually costs $100K in the US if you want to go to a college. Alright? Don't pay that. You can just take this class. Alright? We're going to teach you everything they're going to teach you in college and more. On top of doing that for free, we do giveaways. Week 6 giveaway is live on the site. So go to our site, click on blog, and then go to week 6. Alright? Week 6. And you can enter the giveaway here for a sweater. It is free. It is a free giveaway. It just basic tasks like subscribing to our YouTube channel and following Twitch. That has to be done. That's it. Very free. If you like what we're doing and you want to help donate, because doing things for free is not cheap. It's very, very expensive. You can donate. And when you donate, depending on how much you do, you can get some rewards like our stickers, our cool collab t-shirt, which I got on right now, right here, and our epic sweater, which I don't have on right now, but I absolutely love that sweater. Additionally, all donations are being met 1-for-1 for the first 10,000 by a generous donator of ours. Depending on how far along we get here, we'll be teaching for 24 hours straight, shaving my head here live on stream. And the one we definitely will not get to, and we should not get to, is shaving my beard here live on stream. We don't want that though. No one wants to see that. That's a sin. All right, that's a sin. We don't sin on this channel. All right. Alrighty, let's see if there was any questions before we move on. Wait, how does that work? If I donate, how does that affect taxes? Can we see the sweater? Do I have the sweater next to me? Oh. Grab one from the box. Here's one of the sweaters. We got our little patch here that says 100. Can you focus? 100 days of rootkit, and on the back it says rootkit. Oh, they're super awesome. Super awesome. How does it work on taxes? When you do your tax return at the end of the year, you can claim all the amounts that you've donated. If you've donated over $5,000, I believe $5,000 is the mark, we'll be in contact with you, or you need to get in contact with us somehow so we can give you a receipt. All right. IRS doesn't really care if your donation is below $5,000. After that, they want a receipt to actually prove that you did what you did. All right, sweet. So, let's see, how would I go about this? All right. Again, there's no really wrong way of doing it. There are just different ways. All right. How a lot of beginner people will do it is, what I'll most commonly see is they'll have every single line here. They'll turn every single line here into a print statement. So we kind of showed you guys an intermediate to pro way of doing it. So what we'll commonly see beginners do is this. All right, this will work. This will work, but it's not. All right, I'm not going to complete it. You guys kind of get the concept here. This will work, but it's not ideal. That's a lot of print statements. Every time you run an action, that's a little bit of compute cost. If you do the action all at once, then it's a little bit faster. So be aware of how many times you are printing. Now, it's not like super expensive. You're not going to notice the delay or lag unless you're doing a lot of stuff, all right? Unless you're doing a lot at once. Now, how I would personally go about doing it, let's see here. I personally would make a list called lyrics. That's how you spell lyrics, right? Well, that's how we spell lyrics now. Inside of this list, I would make a list of what all the lyrics are and how I want them to print out. All right. So basically, we're going to grab the rest of these guys right here. I'm going to paste them, tab them down. We want to put quotes at the end of all of them. So I'll just go ahead and do this. And we got to add quotes at the end, but not just a quote. We also need to add a comma. So I'll go ahead and copy and paste that, and then put some of these at the end of all of these guys, except for the last one. So we have a list here. All right. And then once we have this, it's well defined. It's easily laid out. Also, this way we'll remove the little tabbing that we had at the beginning, but we can also do fanciness if we want tabbing for this. So afterwards, I would then, inside of this right here, we'll go ahead and remove this. I would perform lyrics dot, sorry, this is going to be, we need to make a new string, and basically we need to say how we want to combine all of these lines together. But how do we want to combine them together? There's a special character called a /n. What does /n do? That this is \n, by the way. Backslash is how you can activate the special characters. This is going to be for a new line. So if you want a new line, you're going to use this. Before I showed you T is for tabs. So if you want a tab, this is how you would do a tab. So we want every one of these lines to be on a brand new line. So we'll do that, and we can do at the end of strings. At the end of strings, if we do a dot, we'll get extra actions we can perform. If you do a dot join, this will make it so if you provide a list, the list will be stitched together into one long string based off of based off of how you're stitching it together. And this can be done right here outside of the loop. So inside of here, we have our new stitched together string. We should probably save this off. So I'm going to call this completed, or or we'll call this lyric template equals, because this is our combined made template, but the template is still a template. It has these guys, so we got to finish these off. So if we now print this template, again, it's just a template though, so we need to do dot format, because this is going to make us a string. All right, it's going to combine all of this together with this in between every single line, and it's going to make one big string. So we just need to do a dot format, because that's what you can do on strings. And then in here we have 0 and 1, so we would put animal, comma, noises, and then index. And if we rerun this, you'll see we get all of the lyrics printing out, and now there's no weird tabbing going on. Additionally, we have fine-grained and tuned parameters that we can set that are dynamic, because before, again, we want to stay away from wet code. Wet code means that you have to change a lot of stuff everywhere. We want dry code, where you change once and you can affect everything. For example, tabbing. If I want tabbing in that previous format, I would have to go every single line and add tabs, or every single line and remove tabs. But now, here we have our new line. And maybe also I want to add a /t to also add a tab on everything. So if I rerun this, you'll see now everything except for the first line will have a tab, but that's an easy fix for us to do also. Because again, the join will only affect where things are being combined together. So the beginning of this line is not being combined with anything else. Only the end is being combined with this next line here. So that's why it's getting affected there. So again, it's more dry because it lets us affect more of our code with less work, with less typing out. That was very, very quick. That was the point. I wanted to get through it just to show you how I would go about doing it, and also that there is this thing called join, all right, for you to be aware of. It's very useful. Let me see here what questions we got. Can you explain enumerate? So we talked about that a little bit earlier. Enumerate basically will make a new list for you, putting each item in the list here in a new sub list that will then be paired with a 0, a 1, a 2, etc., to infinity, and it basically will tell you which item is in which place in the list. Everything in animals, you're doing something with that index. Yes. So you can print out this index. Again, what I recommend is going towards you might have joined late then. If you go toward more the beginning of the video, we talked about index and we did some prints and we showed off like what exactly it's doing. So I would also recommend you checking out earlier on the YouTube video, but also printing enumerate on a new line by itself and see kind of what happens and what it does. Exactly, this is like exactly the line in Python where would you say I was if I understood this part. I still feel like a beginner while kind of understanding functions and indexing, but how far you can take it. Yep. So there's very little tools in the toolbox of programming, very little, but it's all of the extra features and things that people have made elsewhere that kind of get you specified to what you want to do, but also it's the creativeness, because I can tell you about strings, I can tell you about lists, and I can tell you about these things, but can you eventually become creative enough, or are you creative enough off the bat to stitch them together in a way like this? Because there's only one new thing here technically. Everything else is stuff that we've already gone over and talked about. So it's kind of just that creativeness of how to go about stitching, and it comes in time. There's very few people that naturally will just do this off the bat. All right, it takes time. I was not one of those people. It took lots of time for me to get where I am today because I'm kind of stupid. So, alrighty. There is a backslash on your Mac. it's going to be hidden away. Every keyboard that's sold on a computer will have the special characters, at least if it's an ASCII character. I'm sorry, a QWERTY keyboard. If it's a QWERTY keyboard, it will have every special character needed in order to program. I'm not familiar enough with international stuff, so that's going to be on you, but it will be usually below the delete key right there. All right. Let me see if there's any other questions. Yeah, I'm a little lost on why the first line isn't included, because join. So if I, for example, let's go more simplistic. We got these stickers here, these limited edition 100 Days of Rootkit stickers here. If I tell you to join them together, now they're joined together, right? They're joined together in this middle part. All right, makes sense. But with the join, they did not get affected on the outsides. The outsides are not joined with anything. And if we have more of these stickers, like this other exclusive 100 Day of Rootkit sticker, and we join this one too, you'll see that still the beginning and the end will never be affected. So that is why on this, the beginning is not affected, and the end, even though the end looks like it's affected it right here where it's joined together, but the end right here, this part is not affected. All right, so how we would go about fixing that is we would need to add something to the beginning here. So how could we add something to the beginning there? We can do it in several different places, but to make the most simplistic, we learned about pluses, right? We can add strings together. Right here, we can just do a /n. And now if we rerun this, sorry, we need to do /t here and then a /t here, and then rerun this, and now you'll see they're all tabbed up. All right, because we added that little bit of that last little bit that we needed at the beginning of every single line. We don't need the new line here because we don't need it to go to a new line, because print is already going to put it on a new line at the beginning. We just need to do the little tab here at the beginning for the first one. There's nothing trickery going on with join. It's literally just means join together. Because these are, again, each one of these lines, since they have commas, they're their own entity, they're their own quote-unquote sticker, all right? And we're just joining them together. But what if you don't want it all tabbed? If you don't want it all tabbed, then we can just delete this part here, and we can delete the tab part right here, and then rerun it, and now we got it all perfectly printed out and not tabbed. That would only be for other weird things we do, like tabbing or bullet point lists. I don't know, whatever other weird stuff you guys may want to do. All right, let's see here. You can take in the context of game dev as means. Yep, we finished up one of our first games yesterday. We're doing singing classes today, and tomorrow we're going to be back at making more games. All my lyrics are on the same line. Yep, make sure you gotta, if you're doing join, you gotta make sure if you don't have that \n here and you run join, it's all gonna be on the same line and be some chaos. At this point, you're good. Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks, not dabber. Yeah, it's because I don't like money, I guess, so I waste all my money on helping others. but it's not monetarily responsible, so we're bleeding money like crazy, and we will not exist here very shortly if we don't get funding from the community. So make sure you tell all your friends and family about 100 Days of Rootkit and have them donate for the cause. Yep. Make sure you make sure you have that, Kamal. All right, sweet. So, let's see. The next thing we want to cover and go over, I want to talk about lists a little bit. I guess one last. All right, one last thing that you can do is this relies on these being in sync with each other. All right, that could be an issue. Let me remove these last items. That could be an issue. So a way you can resolve, and sometimes that's what you have in the real life. You know, everything always depends on the situation. But ideally, if possible and it's already supplied, you'd want these to be together, linked together, so you never have to rely on both of these lists being in order, because if they're ever not in order, you're now going to be out of sync. How you can fix that is simply combining these lists. How do you combine these lists? Well, lists can have an infinite amount of lists inside of them. You can do inception. What do I mean by inception? Literally the most trippiest thing. Let's make a list here. You can have in a list, you can have a list of lists. So there's a list of lists. And inside of the list of lists, you can have lists of lists of lists. All right? You can keep doing this for an infinite amount of times, lengthwise and depthwise. Why is this important to know? You want to make 2D games? You want to make 3D games? Sometimes 3D games use 4-dimensional data. How do you go about doing that? Well, it's all using lists or arrays, because other languages will call lists arrays. So what do I mean by that? Let's say I want to know, I'm playing Minecraft. All right, Minecraft is a 3D game, right? And I need to know the coordinates of my player. Your coordinates are going to be, or let's say I have a server. I made a server, a Minecraft server. How do I know how to track or where all the players are? You're going to have an array or a list in Python. And in that is going to be a list of people that are connected to your server, for example. And in each one of these lists will be potentially coordinates of where you are on a 3D plane or a 3D game. Let's say I'm in coordinates 0, 1, 10. And this person is in 1, 50, 50. And this one is in 51, 10. All right. So you have, this is why it would be potentially useful. Additionally, you could have more data in this if needed. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if this is actually, this most likely isn't how you would want to go about it, but it's something you could do. You could say this player is at this location, but also maybe you want status effects attached to them, because this first item in this list are players. All right, we could call this players. And inside of the list, the first 3 items you know are going to be their XYZ coordinates in your game. And the next, maybe you want another list inside of that tells you what items they have on them. So maybe like food, sword, etc. And you would want to follow that format with each people. So that's why you would find yourself with lists on top of lists. This is common to have lots of lists when you're dealing with media or some type of dimensional data. All right. So to modify this, we would want to have cows. Ideally, have a list here with cows and then comma their noise. And then pigs, comma, and then their noise. Oink here. And then chickens, comma, their noise. All right, this is how you would typically want to do it. Well, how would you go about getting this data? Well, let's go ahead and start with little steps at a time. All right, one bit at a time. Let's go ahead and comment our code here. So we only have this array. Let's go ahead and just print it out, animals. So we can just see our array and we can see it printed out. So it printed out. Let me rerun it again so we can see it more clearly. You can see that array printed out right here. All right, makes sense so far. And we know, we've learned before, we can use these brackets at the end and we can ask for an item. Let's say we want the 0th item, but what will that print out? Well, let's run it and figure out. The 0th item is literally this item right here. Everything before the first comma. The commas will tell you which each item is in the list. So this list has another list in it. What if I only wanted cows and not moo? I don't want both of them at the same time. Guess what? Inception. All right, more Inception. We got to go deeper down the rabbit hole. All right, we got to go explore deeper. All right, what do I mean by that? We got to go another dimension into the computer space here. At the end of animals, just rinse and repeat, baby. Put another bracket there and say, do you want the first item or the second item? Remember, it starts at 0 or 1. Let's get the second item. That's going to be a 1. And now we can click play. And now we got moo, which is the second item in that list, which again, we start counting at 0. This can go for infinite times. You can have infinite depth to your lists, and you can go through them like this and have infinite brackets at the end asking for what item you want. All right, so a super important thing to know. And now we know for a fact that our animals will always be linked to the correct noise because we're not having to deal with 2 separate lists. Now we only have 1 list. How would this look logic-wise? Well, let's go ahead and modify our code here to deal with this new data. So we have just our animals array only. So now we know when we're formatting, the first item is supposed to be the animal. This will no longer work correctly. Also, we no longer need enumerate because everything is linked together. So we can remove enumerate. We can remove the index part right here. And we can remove noises because we don't have noise anymore, but we still need to fill out this second section. How do we go about this? Well, we know we're going to get one animal at a time, and it's not going to be one animal at a time. Let's rename this so it kind of makes a little bit more sense to us. Animal pairs. Does that make a little more sense? Animal pairs. And then we're going to say, instead of saying animals, we're just going to call this pair because it makes a little bit more sense. All right, you couldn't just keep it the same if you want. So our first pair is going to be literally these 2 items. Well, we know we need the animal first and the noise second. So we can say pair bracket 0. Just 1 bracket. And then we can do pair bracket 1. Why is it only 1 this time? Because the example you gave earlier had 2 brackets. Because the for loop here is already going through and grabbing each item in the list at a time. So it's already removing that 1 layer of inception, that 1 layer of depth for us, right? So we're only left with these individual items. So that's why we only need 1 bracket down here. If we rerun this, you'll see our song now prints out perfectly, just like it did before. Again, like I said towards the beginning of our programming journey, there are a million different ways to paint your picture on the canvas. There are a million different ways to to write out your programs. There is no right or wrong way to do it. There are only better ways to do it, or more correct ways to do it. This, I would say, would be around peak correctness. But at the end of the day, if your program works and it doesn't look like this and your customer is happy, then does it really matter? No, it doesn't matter, right? People do not get rich off of having perfect performing, optimized, beautiful code. All right, they get rich because they can make functional projects quickly and produce them, ship them out, put them into the world, and have people join them. Right? That's what people monetize on. That's what makes the world work. They do not need to be perfectly tuned. All right, so don't waste a lot of your time early on trying to be perfect. All right, it will naturally come over time the more and more you program, because the more and more you program, the more you're going to want to become lazier and lazier, because you're like, wow, doing it inefficiently or less correctly is a lot of work, and I don't want to do a lot of work. Let's see here. I would rejoin Discord, but I was banned. You got banned from Discord themselves? What did you do? Life online starts to become worthless when that happens. Sigh, bye. Well, I mean, you can still join 100 Days of Rootkit, because we're not just on Discord. We're right here on YouTube Live. All right. Let's see here. Okay, looks like there was no questions from the Twitch side of things. Everyone getting this? This makes sense, right? Yes, no? So, tomorrow, a little teaser, we're making a word guessing game. It's going to be very similar to Hangman. Alright, that's the next game we're going to make. But before we do that, I want to leave you guys with a couple more things in regards to arrays, right? Or lists. Arrays, lists, like I said the other day, I'm going to be using those terms interchangeably. They mean the exact same thing in the context of Python. They are literally the exact same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new file, and we're going to call this lists.py. And we're going to talk about lists a little bit. We already talked about them, about some of their features. Let's call this my cool list equals this. So lists are just like lists that you would make at home, like a grocery list. Instead of bullet points, you use commas. All right. Lists can be in Python. Lists can be any combination of any type of data. All right. This is not the case in a lot of different languages. A lot of different languages, you can only have the exact same type of data in your list. But in Python, you can mix data together. What does that mean? You can have integers, floats, strings. You can use all of them together. It's really nice. So lists are cool. You know what else is a list? So if we make a list here and we say, you know, the number 1, this number, and this string, there we go. We got a cool list here. And if we want to do print and only get the second item in this list, like we said, we can do the brackets, and we can say item number 1 because we start counting at 0. And print that out. You'll see 1, 2, 3 gets printed out here. Let me rerun this with the cleared out screen. 1, 2, 3 is printed out here. All right. There's something else that's been a list the whole time, and you did not know it. All right. Did not know it, but it's been a list the whole time. There's a reason why strings are called strings. All right. It's not because they thought of the worst term possible to call sentences and words. All right. They're called strings because they're a string of characters that are together. They're a string of characters that are put together. All right. By stringing characters, I mean that a character is actually the individual pieces of data. It's actually an array. It's been an array the whole time. All right. You didn't even know it. It's a bunch of individual characters that are just strung together in an array. Similar to what we did here in singing, like this, except there would be only one single character in each one of these sections. What does that mean? Why is that even like relevant right now? Because if we wanted to, we could say something like this. So my cool string equals mind blown. All right, and we can do a print of my cool string, which we've seen before. Let's go and run that and just show mind blown will be printed out. All right, we're not doing anything fancy right now. This is just what you would expect. We're printing out the word mind blown. Since this is an array, we can add the brackets to the end of them, and we can actually get individual characters out. So if this is an array, each character is an item in the array. We start counting at 0, like we always do in programming. So an M would be a 0, I would be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. So if we say 0, my cool string brackets 0, this will give us the 0th item in the string, which is the M. Works just like an array. It's super, super cool. This could be potentially very handy for us, all right? Additionally, it can literally be treated as a list. Think of it as a list because that's what it is behind the scenes. So if we do a for loop, we can say like for character in my cool string. And if we do a print and print our characters here, you can see that it will print out every single character on its own line. All right, because every character is its own item in the array, in the list. All right, that is super, super cool and can be super, super handy for us. Additionally, there's another feature. Again, this logic I'm telling you right now goes for all strings and all lists. All right, so this works on both of them, lists and strings, because they are the same. If we, for some reason, let's go ahead and keep this up. If we wanted to instead print our string, but instead, hold on, let me clear this, run it so you guys can see. We're just back to normal mind blown and print my string. Let's see, I don't really want to see the word mind anymore. All right, I just want to see blown. All right, so let's all get blown. All right, what we can do is we can slice things out of our string. That's the technical term, is slicing. Slice and dice. All right, just like you would have a loaf of bread and slice it wherever you want, you can do the same thing in Python. So you can slice things. How do you go about slicing and dicing? Your knife is going to be your colon. Yes, your ass is now the knife. So again, throw that colon in there. All right, it's going to be the butt of the joke every time, you guys. When we have a colon, we can now start slicing things. So if we put something at the beginning of the colon, aka a number, we can tell our little knife here where to cut at the beginning. So let's say 2. And then this is where we want to cut at the end. All right, so let's say 5. So if I run this, you'll see that we got N, D, and the space printed out here. Did the space print out? I'm pretty sure the space printed out. What's happening here is we want the knife to come down and cut right before the second character. Remember, we start counting at 0, so 0, 1, and here's 2. So we're going to include this one, and then we're going to include everything up to the 5th character, I believe. We'll see here in a second. Let me just change this actually to like 7. BL. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we'll include up to, but not including the 7th character. All right, so we're not including 7 because 7 is O, so that one will not be included. It will stop right short of it. So we can actually get, with slicing, any little part of a string we want. This goes with arrays. We can get any little part of the arrays we want. We don't have to get the whole bit of array. We don't have to get one little item. Additionally, let's say you just want everything from the beginning to the end. let's say you just don't want mined anymore. You just want blown. We can slice all of this part off and go from here to the end of the string. How do we do that? Well, let's go in and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to cut at 6 and we want to go to the end of the string. We don't need to count. So there's a cool feature here for our knife. We don't need to count to the end and figure out where that is. We can just remove the last number here. So we have 6 colon and that is it. So we'll slice there at 6 and we'll let it go to the end. So if we rerun this, you'll see that we got loan, not blown. We messed that up. So let me put a 5 here and rerun this. There we go. Now we're getting blown together. All right. That's what friends do, right? We all hold hands. All right. So let's move on here. So you can slice that way. You can also do the reverse. You can slice reverse. All right. So if I put the number on the other side, and let's say we just want the mind. All right. We're going on a trip. We're taking some acid together. All right. We can just print out mind by putting the 5 on the other side and making sure that colon is there. All right. This will get everything from the beginning up to this number. All right. Just something I want to add and let you guys know. I want you guys to play around with this. All right. I want you guys to play around with this and have fun with it. Let me see. Can you slow down a bit? You've had too much coffee. Yes, that is true. Yeah. I wanted to get through it quickly because we're coming up on 9 p.m. and I don't want to keep you guys too much later. So we rolled through that. So that way, now we can answer questions. We can revisit and re-talk about things. I can give you guys another assignment for tonight so you can mess around with it. But the people that do understand it or have seen it before can just leave the stream. Let's see here. I was able to follow long enough, but what if you don't want it to be? Oh, there we go. The eyes. There we go. So, key takeaways here. All right. Our lists and strings can be treated the same when programming. They can both be given brackets. The brackets have some special features to them. All right. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 features or 4 different things you can do with them. All right. The 4 different things you can do with them. Let's start with this one. Let's go in and uncomment this. The first thing you can do, which we've seen already, is you can put brackets and specify one single item or one single character that you would like, that you would want to get and print out. All right. Feature number 2 that you can do is going to be telling it where to start and where to end. So getting just a specific part of a string or a list. All right. Where to start and where to end. The third feature would be you can, we'll do it in order in how I presented it. You can cut at somewhere specific at the beginning to have your new start place and go for infinity in one direction, or you can do it the other way and go for infinity in the other direction. How do you know which direction is which? It's the direction that doesn't have the number. So whatever direction doesn't have the number, it will go forever into that direction and grab all the rest of the text that is there. So these are like the 5 different ways you can slice a list or a string. Any questions there? Kamal, do you got any questions there? Yes, go ahead and ask your questions. So by infinity, I mean it will go until whenever the string or the list ends. So it will start at 5, the 5th character, or the character in the 5th place, I should say, and then it will go all the way until the string ends. So if we print this, you'll see that, so this is our third one that we're printing out. Whoops. The third one that we're printing out. So let's go to the third one here. It will go up to the 5th character place and just keep printing more characters until it reaches the end of our string here. And then the reverse is true for this way. It will start from wherever the beginning is of the string and print all the way. So this M is the beginning of our string here, and it will print all the way to the 5th character. Do you have questions, Kawaii? That's the real question, all right? Do you have questions? Because you should ask them right now. So additionally, if you guys are still confused, W3 Schools has a whole section here for slicing. So where is slicing? They used to slice. Maybe it's in the string section. I don't know. Where did they put it? Well, we can just search Python string slicing. Here it is. So they have a great section here too. That, wow, maybe not. This can't be right. Well, there's also the official docs that you can look at too. Does Geeks for Geeks have a more in-depth section? Yeah. So this one should be a little bit more in-depth. I guess there's the one more last. I gotta break your guys' brain one last time because I forgot one thing. All right. So when there is nothing to the other side of the colon, then it will print. Correct. 100% correct. Until there's nothing to print. Yep, you are 100% correct, Kamal. Just wondering if there is still more new things. Not tonight. There will not. Well, okay. One last thing. One last thing to break your guys' mind. This is not the case for most other languages. This is something more specific for Python. But you can also use negative numbers. Stick with me here. Stick with me. All right. Negative numbers. What the hell? You can use negative numbers. What will a negative number do? Negative numbers will wrap around and start on the opposite side. All right. So if we want to print the -1th item of mind blown, it's going to be the exclamation mark, because it's going to be right here and you're going to go to -1. So it's going to become this one. -2 would become the N, -3 would become the W, etc., etc. This is in fact useful, whether you don't think it is or not, or you don't know why someone would use it. It is useful. There are times or situations where you want to go to the end of an array or the end of a string and grab the last thing really quickly. All right, I'm trying to think of an example right now. I can't, but I've used it like 1,000 times before. It's more common than you think. All right, it's more common than you think it's for its use. All right, but you can have negative numbers, and again, negative numbers can also be done with slices. So you can do -2 slice with -3. You can do slicing in all the same ways we showed here above with negative numbers. Now that's all I have to have. That's all we're going to be teaching today. All right, that is officially the last thing. I'm only answering questions now moving forward. So if you have questions, ask them now. All right. And if there are no more questions, we'll end the stream. And tomorrow we're going to be building. Oh no, that's too much of a hint there. We're going to be building a word guessing game, kind of like Hangman tomorrow. All right. Kind of like Hangman tomorrow. We should name it, instead of Hangman, Hang Orphans. Because again, we're all about killing orphans in the computer science realm. All right. All about it. If you don't understand that, you need to go back about a week or two in our days here and watch operating systems. Well, honestly, you need to go back to the beginning and watch every single episode, because we're teaching you how to get our computer science cert, all right, which is a replacement for a computer science degree. You need to know everything we've taught before up to today in order to pass that exam. All right, let's see here. Questions. See, until there's nothing. For tomorrow's class, can you limit your coffee intake to just 1 cup? Lol. It's almost impossible for me to keep up sometimes with the questions because I can't type fast enough. Sometimes you get to the next topic before I get to finish the typing. Great concerns. My wife has also told me the same thing. So I was trying to be better today, but I guess not. Look, the coffee did actually change today. I'm not gonna lie. This is a different coffee, all right? Usually I have like actual coffee, like ground the beans, put in the water and pour in my cup. I'm out of that. This is instant coffee, and I guess it's a really strong amount of it because I have felt loaded. Like, don't test my blood. I may pop positive for cocaine right now type of loaded, all right? But yeah, so I'll try to, moving forward, try to leave longer pauses in between things for questions. So make sure you ask questions. Just know that there is kind of a set amount of things we need to teach each day, which means that we may be seeing more days that run to around 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours long, like we have today, because there are, for programming, there are a lot of things for us to cover in a relatively short amount of time. It will always feel, I'm telling you right now, it will always feel like a fire hose of information. All right. The great thing is all of these are being recorded, and not just me, but there's lots of other great resources on YouTube and etc. that we do link on our cert. If we go over to GitHub, if you don't know GitHub, if you go over to our site, you can click on certs, certifications here at the top, computer science cert, view requirements, and it will take you exactly to where you need to go. Here, we got everything listed, and so you can always check things out here and look here for things. This link is still broken. I did not fix it. So if you're on that certification page, at the bottom are a level 1 certs. So here's the Python one. So if you click on view requirements here, you can see in Python requirements everything we're going to be teaching. All right, so we talked about lists, we've talked about dictionaries, we haven't gone over sets yet, we've talked about strings, tuples, we've talked about booleans a little bit, integers, decimal numbers, floating numbers. We talked about some of these special characters. Here are more special characters for you to explore if you would like. We talked about dot format. We've just talked about slicing. All right. Let's see here. We talked about if statements, importing, elif, else, while, and for loops. We've seen these guys before, which are our Boolean ones, but we'll talk about them more here in a bit. We've talked about ins. All right. For in something. And we've talked about a couple of these guys here, like input, casting, so int, there should be string. So we're going through this list slowly but surely. But we got a lot of things here, and this is Python alone. Because we got to also go over C, and then hopefully hit on HTML and CSS. Alrighty. So, for your guys's... if you guys have any questions right now, please ask. Oh, did I had it on top chat today. Hopefully I didn't affect anyone. Kadir, did you have any questions at all for me to answer before we move forward? So, ask your questions now, but the homework, sorry, not the homework. I'm not supposed to use that dirty, dirty word. Your guys' challenge for today would be mess around with strings and lists and slicing. Just play around with it. See some weirdness. Go in the depths of Inception. Mess around with it. If you get bored of that, then go over here. So again, if you go to rootkit.org and you go to certifications, you can scroll down to the Python cert and view the requirements. Take a look around here. Remember, you got to click on Python requirements here in the table of contents. Click around here, check things out, maybe do some Googling. Maybe learn an extra thing here or two that you think might be interesting. Maybe play around the string section or play around with your basic operators here. And you'll be ahead. You will definitely be ahead. All right, I see you just asked what's the challenge. So that was the challenge right there. Again, messing with slices. Where's the code? Messing with slices is the challenge, and then the extended thing not required would be just looking through the cert. Because tomorrow, knowing slicing will help. Will potentially help with the word guessing game, with our Hang Orphan game. All right, we're gonna hang Susana tomorrow. I hope you're excited, Susana. We don't care for orphans here. All right, that's all I got for you guys. So I'll give you like another minute or two to ask any questions, and if there are no questions, then we'll go ahead and end today. If you really want to moan... Oh, look, I'm not going to go that far, Kote. Chill. Chill, bro. Chill, all right? One step at a time. This is enough. Hey, negative numbers are enough, all right? That's enough for tripping and confusing everyone. Negative numbers, what the heck? Susana said Sag. All right, I don't see any questions coming in. If you guys do think of any more questions, you have the 100 Days of Rootkit chat here in the Discord. So make sure you put your questions here, and if you want, you can also put the answers to the assignments that we give out. Additionally, in supporters chat, we will be giving, so if you are a Discord premium or Patreon supporter, you'll get access to the supporter chat. A part of that, you will be sent all of the files that I've written here. So you'll get everything I've written, and additionally, I add comments to everything to help explain it a little bit more. We'll give away the other days. So here's what I gave some of the supporters yesterday. So a bunch of this stuff with lots of comments to help them kind of understand what is going on. So if you want to help support us, then you can subscribe to Discord Premium or Patreon, and you'll be getting these drops almost, if not, you should be getting them every day, but I'm not going to guarantee that, with lots of nice comments. All right, sweet. That's all I got. So I will see you guys on the next one.